Welcome back to the Courageous Nerd YouTube channel for another interview. This time I'm joined by actor Adam Irigoyen, who first made his name as Deuce on Disney Channel's Shake It Up. Since then, he's appeared in series including The Last Ship, Major Crimes, The Fosters, and The Resident. Most recently, Adam appeared in a recurring role on the Netflix series Away, starring Hilary Swank. If you enjoy this interview or any of the others on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, welcome and thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah, and how have you been finding? How's your experience been in the pandemic?
I'm doing everything I can to kind of keep myself busy.
Mm,
I lately I've been trying to do a lot more reading and writing,
right.
and just kind of, surround myself with just like great writing and great material. Um, you know, for when this is all over and I get to go back to work. Got to stay sharp and ready.
Right. And so while you were in quarantine, do you have any good binge recommendations?
I was catching up on a lot of like old movies that I haven't seen.
Right.
So like there was I hadn't seen Giant with like James Dean,
Mm,
um, or like old movies like that. I'm a real like I really am into old movies. I just appreciate them,
yeah.
and so yeah, I was catching up on a bunch of those.
Right. And obviously, you're an actor with quite a few projects under your belt, but what do you most enjoy about your profession?
I enjoy like the ability to be able to discover different kind of characters.
Mm,
You have, from project to project, no character is really going to be the same. No character is really going to have had the sort of same life experiences or the same things that affect them into, in the world we meet them in, right? So
right.
it's kind of always been the most fun for me to you know, really distinguish, how is this person different from me? How is this person different from, the last character I played?
Mm,
And so on. And I think that, that sort of character study is kind of unmatched to me.
right. And I would say a lot of your fans would have maybe grown up watching you on Disney Channel. Obviously, you did Shake It Up for a few years. How much early before that did you start acting?
Not much longer, honestly. I mean,
Mm,
I moved out to LA when I was 11 years old,
mm,
and I was when I started on Shake It Up. I believe I was, uh, yeah, I was 12, about to turn 13.
mm.
So yeah, so about I'd say a year and a half prior.
Right. And obviously, again, Shake It Up premiered a decade ago. So what advice would the Adam of 2020 give the Adam of 2010?
I would say never be complacent. I
Mm,
think especially in this industry, when you get a little work, you sort of tend to forget all the hard work that you put in to get there. Or sometimes, not always, but you can definitely fall victim to that. And I one of the things that the Adam of 2020
mm.
tries to make sure that I always do is to never be really comfortable and always know that there's more work to be done and um, more goals to be accomplished and more just more things to do.
Right. And I guess after you finished on Shake It Up, how important was it for you to diversify the projects in your later career?
How important important for was it for what? I'm sorry.
To do diverse projects in your career following.
Oh, very very important. I mean
Yeah.
that's kind of like that's also one of the most one of the things that has kind of really put forward is the idea of not only being able to work,
Mm,
but also to be able to create projects that inspire people, that are thought provoking, and that really kind of just make people think, and kind of something relatable. And thankfully, I've been able to be blessed to be a part of projects that I would consider as such.
mm. And you're playing the role of Isaac on Away on Netflix. And in your own words, how would you maybe explain the show to people who are unfamiliar with it?
Yeah. So if anybody hasn't seen the show, it's on Netflix, so they can definitely check it out. But
Mm,
as far as like a synopsis and all that goes, it's basically the show centers around Emma Green, who's played by Hilary Swank, and this
mm,
group of five astronauts who go on the first manned mission to Mars. The show follows um, their relationships, the relationships of those that they leave back home, what brought them to be on this mission to Mars in the first place, and it's this storyline in space accompanied by this storyline on Earth, led by Emma's husband, Matt,
mm.
who's played by Josh Charles, and her daughter, played by Talitha Bateman, and um, it's their life on Earth now that their maternal figure has really left for 3 years, and kind of what that does to them. And life doesn't stop for them, just like it doesn't stop for Emma. And I play, like you said, Isaac.
Mm.
And Isaac meets Alexis fairly quickly after her mom leaves off to Mars. And we they kind of grow a connection there. And you know, throughout the series, Isaac really plays this sort of um, just emotional safeguard, if you will, for Alexis. He kind of becomes her safe, place, the person that
Mm.
she can confide in,
Yeah.
the person that just kind of makes her feel normal in these very not normal circumstances.
Right. And I guess because you've had both experiences, but how would you compare being on like weekly network TV versus a show that people can binge?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, the work
Mm,
that goes into it is different. The outcome is obviously different.
mm,
It's fun. I mean, there's you know there's each has their own kind of system. But
mm,
I enjoy both. I when you do kind of like an hour long drama like that, it's really sort of like a block and shoot where you kind of you show up to work and you're already filming. Whereas when you film for sitcom television, there's at least 3 days of rehearsal before you film for a couple days. So it's definitely a different beasts, but they both have a lot of really great qualities in my eyes.
right. And you kind of saying this as well earlier about playing different characters, but when you're first given a new character to play, what aspects of the performance do you start to think about first? Like, is it like their personality or what their lives were like before you're jumping into their shoes, or like what do you think about?
Yeah, so I touched on it a little, but that idea of how they're different from me, how they're the same from me, because
Mm,
when I start working on something like that, for me at least, it's I try to highlight um, the things that I have to put a little more work into. Maybe start to realize the things that maybe me and him have in common. So therefore, maybe I don't need to put as much work into this aspect as I would some other one, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of where I start, and then really for me, it's uh, just about asking a lot of questions. Where did they come from? What was their, what are their experiences before we meet them that have brought them to this point that have affected them greatly, positive and negative. Things like that, and just to sort of start to get a feel for who he is um, and yeah.
Right. And how would you say your real life personality is similar or different to the character of Isaac?
I say that we're both very. I would say that we're both very caring, especially
Hmm.
for people that we hold dear. He does that really well throughout the season. Showing Alexis, his sort of love for her, and um, his uh, his really commitment to their relationship.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I would say that I feel like in many ways I could be caring like that.
Right. And I guess because, like you were saying about Isaac and Talitha's character, Alexis, did you have to do any kind of auditioning with her to kind of secure the chemistry, or was it separate?
No, so I auditioned initially by myself, and
Hmm.
once I got called back, I had to. I ended up having to fly into Canada for a day. I flew in. I flew into Canada um, in the morning, kind of
Hmm.
waited at the production office for about an hour, and then I you know I tested with Talitha, and sort of we did our chemistry read and things like that, and then I hung out in the production office like an hour longer and ended up
Hmm.
flying home the same day.
Right. And yeah, sorry, we were about to say something.
Oh no, no, I was just gonna say it was the first time that I was in and out of a country in a day. So.
Oh, yeah. So I guess also in the gap between doing Shake It Up and Away, you did several other projects, series and whatever. But so do you have a favorite or one that stands out in your mind?
I mean, they all hold a different place in my heart.
Mm,
Last Ship is something that for me kind of um, just was really, I felt like a really important part of my career for me,
mm,
just because that was for the sort of the first set that I kind of was able to be an adult on. Prior to that, I had to do schooling and I had to have my kids just because of children labor laws and
mm,
things of that nature. But
sure.
Last Ship was the first time where I could work as a full-fledged adult, and I learned so much working on that show. That Centurion is a movie that I did about last year, a few months
Mm,
before Away, and that's another one that is kind of like near and dear to me. Um, Not only because of the content of the movie, but um, just the experience that I had and the people that I got to meet. It was this independent movie that we filmed up in Napa, and we were there for about 30 days, and we all got very close very fast, and it was a really great experience.
mm. And this is actually the last question I've got here. And the world's obviously dealing with unprecedented circumstances with the pandemic. So if you could send a message or a sentiment to fans of you or your work, what would you want to tell them?
In regards to the pandemic.
Or yeah, or just yeah, I guess, or yeah, or in regards to anything, if you want to say whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would just definitely stay safe right now. Make sure that you're taking advantage of this time. A lot of the people, have seen. There's been a lot of bad to come from just this pandemic and how it's affected the world. But I'm a big believer, and there's a silver lining in everything. If you just got to kind of find it, and you know, take advantage of this time that we usually might not have have,
Mm.
and spend it with loved ones. Spend it, as much as you can. Obviously, maybe not your grandparents, um, but spend it, doing something that you maybe have always wanted to do.
Mm.
Spend it watching away on Netflix.